5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm headed straight to the top, and ain't no way I'm gon' stop till I'm 6 feet under and they put me in a box to the top. You gon' give me all my props and I ain't gon' stop till the #1 spot to the top. I'm headed straight to the top. I'm headed straight to the top.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Return to the Top live stream podcast. This is episode number 2. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this live stream podcast was created for current and former athletes to share their journey, to be able to inspire them to not only use their passions for sports, to pursue their passions in life, but to also share their journey to be able to help each and every one of us make a greater impact in life. So I'd like to make a brief introduction to our special guest that we have today. Grateful and thankful for him taking the time to join us on this show. He is a former Kahuku standout, originally from the Riverside, California area. He decided to move to Kahuku high school, located in Hawaii, to be with family, to be able to pursue a better life for both on and off the court. He was able to attend the community college at Bellingham Junior College, and there he came up with his idea to help youth and to be able to help people have a better impact in the game, to improve their game, to get to that next level. And without further ado, I'd like to turn the time over to our great friend, introduce him, Clint Parks. Clint, how are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, Tori. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. Oos, really appreciate it.
Oos, we're so grateful and thankful for your time that you've given us to have you on the show. And it's funny, we just talked about it before we went live on the show. I saw on the Facebook Live just everybody just giving props to Kyle Kuzma. And for those of you who didn't know, you guys saw beforehand, right? Clint Parks was able to be one of the orchestrators as far as training him in the background, not just where he's at currently, but starting at a young age. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, Clint, congratulations to Kyle Kuzma. But, man, I know you played a big role in that, and it's great to see you doing big things, Uso.
Man, appreciate it. Appreciate it. It's great to reconnect with you. It's been a long time. Time flies, but it's always good to see old faces doing well.
Awesome. So, and it's nice to see that you're doing well too, my brother. And we're glad to have you on the show. And man, yeah, let's get right into it. Like, I know, like I mentioned before in the introduction, I know you went from Riverside, California, and you ended up deciding to go to Kahuku. Like, what made you want to go to Hawaii and finish your high school career there in basketball?
So pretty much, like, a lot of people don't know this, but my sophomore year, I actually after my sophomore year, I was like in California, I was doing terribly in school, and like me and my mom had went on vacation that summer. It was 2000, I want to say it was 2003 that summer, and my mom was like, "You need to change, like you got to find you got to find something different for you." Like I wasn't like getting in trouble, but I just wasn't taking school very seriously. And so when I came back before my mom. I left and came back to the mainland, and she stayed in Hawaii a couple weeks after longer. And when she was there, she was just like, "Pack your stuff. You're gonna come back. You're gonna move with your grandma, and you're gonna finish at Kahuku." And so it kind of like it was like I needed a new change of scenery, and it was really the best thing that ever happened to me because I was able to spend time with my grandma, and some of my cousins, and I was just able to learn more about my culture and to see. I always tell people it was the best experience of my life.
Yeah, I know, and it was a pleasure for me as well because we were able to play together when you were a sophomore. I was a senior, and we got to play basketball together. And so I knew from the get go when we first met, and just seeing you on the court, like even off the court, like so. I remember before we even, in the practices or before or after practices, like you were always there, and I could definitely see at an early age just the passion that you have for the game. And for those people who haven't followed you, I have followed you personally, and like where I see you at now, like it's not a surprise to me because I know just the work that you put in, and just like the other athletes that I've interviewed before, their same pattern to success, the same thing that you've applied. Like, you put in the work, and that's something that we're gonna talk about a little bit later. But I know like for me personally, and as a fan of yours, I know that where you're at now, it wasn't an easy process, and it wasn't a quick one either. Like, there's definitely time consuming, and you definitely earned your way to where you're at right now. And man, it's happy to see you, like you said, after all these years, to be able to see you doing the things that you're doing. And like I said before, I'm grateful to have you on the show, brother.
No, I just really appreciate you having me on too. It takes a village. We all know that, and the people that have helped me and where I'm at now and where I continue to build upon is I always remember like that experience is like that's my foundation. That's what carries me today, and that's something that I always reach back to through everything that I do, and I never forget. That's important to me. Like never forgetting, just the people who helped me along the way and where I'm from.
And that's something you've every time we've had our conversations, it's something that you've always brought up, is being able to always remember where you came from, always remember the foundation that you established from a young age. And so it's good to hear, and it's good for the people that are listening to understand that as well. Just important to remember where you came from, the foundation, the basics, starting from the beginning, and remembering it even when you get to a higher level, as far as your success, still remembering where you came from. And so it's a great lesson for all of us to learn, and I know that's part of your recipe to success. So, moving on from Cocoa High School, I know you said you'd attended Bellingham uh, Junior College, and I know you mentioned as well that as far as your career at the junior college level, it fell a little bit short. And tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so actually, I went to Wacom Community College in Bellingham. I actually I was teammates with another Hawaii kid, Kaipo Vila. He played at Kamehameha. You probably familiar with it. His older brother Kai. He played at BYU Hawaii,
Yeah.
and so you remember Kai, athletic dude. So we were both freshmen. Um, and his brother Kavika was living with him too as well in Bellingham. So we had that familiarity with each other. But yeah, my 2 years there, I ended up breaking my left fibula 2 years in a row, and so I didn't play a complete season in either year, and just the rehab process and coming back and not having the same pop, and just I could have worked harder. I could have put more, even more into rehab, but it's when you're in junior college, it's everything's different. There's no full time trainer. It's not like Division 1, Division 2, NAIA. Like you're basically on your own. And at that point, I'd never been hurt in my life. I never even sprained the ankle seriously before. So to break a bone 2 years in a row in my leg, and just for me, I was just like, everyone gets to a point where you got to be honest with yourself as an athlete, like where you're going and where the game could take you. And for me, it was always planning ahead, knowing that I wanted to, in some form, I wanted to be a part of the game of basketball. And so it was, even though I wasn't playing anymore, just the opportunity to be able to lead and help the youth and help kids get to college and learn from them and not allow them to make the same mistakes that I made. That's always been my approach to everything that I do is if I allow the kids that I work with to make the same mistakes that I made coming up, then I failed them. So everything that I went through as far as a player from high school to college, I just apply that to every day. All the kids, I'm always letting them know, like if you do this, if you don't work hard, if you don't show up before, you don't stay after, if you're not consistent, like you can't expect to get where you want to get. And so they understand that it's coming. Everything that I'm telling them is coming from a place of love, and we're not in competition. I want you to be way better than I ever was.
Awesome. And man, I mean, we look at I showed several pictures, and everybody was able to see it, just of the people that you're working with currently, right? The Kawhi Leonard, the Tony Snell, the people that you worked with. I know Kyle Kuzma is definitely on the list as well, right? And Ben McLemore, right? There's several different athletes that you work with, and it's funny because everybody on the outside, they'll see them and their success now, but you, right, talking about youth and seeing them and helping them learn, you teaching them to learn from your mistakes, right? Or how they can be better from your experiences that you had, right? Like, tell us a little bit about that as far as these players that you work with, right? You didn't train them while they were pros. You trained them while they were still young.
Yeah, so like with Kawhi, I started met Kawhi when he was 14. Had some friends that went to the same high school as him, and told me and my partner that there's a talented kid there. And so I was able to see him since he was 14. Tony Snell, since he was a senior in high school, he was teammates with Kawhi. Kyle Kuzma, I met him when he was his red shirt year at University of Utah. So all these guys, I've been able to see them really come up and grow through the process. And it's no different than when you see, like, for me, like players, like I used to remember balling with Al Afalava all the time at Light Park. Like, we used to be there shooting every night, like all the time. Like, but people don't know. I tell people, I'm like, Al was like his favorite one. I used to think basketball was his favorite sport, but
Yeah.
Uncle Donald used to always tell him, like, no, you're gonna play football. Like, you're not gonna be tall enough. Like, your football is gonna be for you. But like, so you're able to see these guys come up through the years and like come up, like, okay, high school, college, and then they get to the NBA, and then they're able to have success. And for me, it's fun because it's like you've watched them grow, not just, oh, he's in the NBA now, I started working with him. Like, I tell people, it's just different because you're able to each level, like, boom, next step, the next step. Because then you know how it is whenever you say pro sports and people hear that, they're like, oh, well, the chances of you making it to the highest level are 1 in 1 million or whatever the numbers
Yeah.
are. I don't really pay
Slim to
attention to the
none.
statistics. Yeah, like that can't. That's like impossible. People are so quick to be like, no, you can't. You're not gonna go to the NBA. And so when they get there, and then it's like, okay, now you're in the NBA. Now strive to be the best player in the world. And that was Kawhi's always thing. Like, he always said he wanted to be great. Like, since he was young, he's like, I want to be one of the best players in the world. And I was like, okay, well, this is how you. This is like, I don't know, but I think, like, for you to get there, I'm not saying like I experienced it, but you got to work really, really hard. And obviously, you got to, like we talked about, you got to have talent, but you got to have a work ethic too. And for him, like, like, for me, like, a lot of those guys, like, what they have in common is that work ethic. They got the talent, but they got the stride that they love to work at it, and they're just relentless. And that's what, and you gotta love to compete.
Yeah, you were telling me that before, and it's funny because I mean, obviously, you knew them from growing up at such a young age, but a lot of people think, man, they're Hall of Famers now. But I mean, when I spoke with you, you told me, man, these guys weren't even blue chippers. Like they weren't
No,
even they were flying under the radar
no,
when they were younger, right? People weren't even recognizing them
no.
the way they're being recognized now, right?
I mean, they won the biggest division, the best division for the section in senior high school, back to back. And he won the Mr. Basketball award, which goes, but he didn't get a scholarship offer from UCLA or USC. San Diego State was his biggest scholarship, and it was a great fit for him because they wanted him. They're going to allow him to play his game. They're going to allow him to play right away as a freshman, which we all know is important. Being able to step in and be able to contribute right away. Um, and he was able to take that program to the next level, and he's one of the reasons why I tell people, like, it's not about where you go; it's about what you do when you get there.
Yeah.
Like, if you could go to the biggest school in the country, and if you don't perform when you get there, then what good is it? If you're not on the bit, like, if they don't have a role for you, they don't have a vision for you, and they're just seeing you as a guy filling a scholarship, then it's different. And like, that's what it's a blessing in disguise for him to be able to go to a mid-major level, like Utah State, San Diego State. They're all in the same conference now, Mountain West, but
Mm-hmm.
the scouts are going to go where the talent is.
Yeah.
It's no, what I'm saying? Like, it's no different than people saying, like, these college coaches. I remember seeing it, like, man, all these college coaches are coming to see. It was like Jeremy Perry was the one, like, what I'm saying? Like, they were all, and then
Yep.
Al, like, those are the big name recruits. Like, they're going to come. If you got the talent, they're going to come find you. And I take that same approach for kids going to college. Like, go where you're loved, not where you're wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us. I mean, we talked about the people that you're helping, especially the youth. Like, tell us a little bit more about the clinic that you started to kind of help these youth.
So I've done camps, and just I do a lot of individual training. And for me, I was just like, it was a couple years ago. I was just throwing the names around, and I was like, Clint Parks Skills Academy. Like, I was like CPSA, and I just started saying it, and I was like, oh, it's catchy, and just kind of ran with it. But I've been doing, like, training and stuff, like finding younger players in the
Mm.
area in Southern California and trying to help them achieve their goals. Like, like, you guys want to go Division 1? Like, let's work. Like, let's push yourself. Let's like, don't worry about what everybody else is saying. Like, so I like working with kids with a chip on their shoulder, kids that are underdogs, because I've always looked at myself like an underdog. Like, I didn't have like a foot in the door. Like, oh, like,
Mhm.
here you go. You can, like, I had to go find players and try to, like, help develop them. Not like, oh, you're just gonna get this kid here. Like, this is who, like, we think you're a great trainer. Like, no, I had to earn my stripes. So I'm always looking for kids that want to work. Like, at the end of the day, if you don't love to work, then me and you aren't gonna really mix because I'm not going for the lazy stuff or oh like if you want to be part time because it's like you're not gonna get where you want to get if you don't really want to work at it for real.
Yeah, and I remember, man, and what we were talking about. I know you definitely sounded passionate about it, but when the way you mentored the people that you work with, I know one of the biggest things that you harped on was being real with them, right? Being 100% real with them. Like what does that mean, and like and how do you approach how is that your approach to helping these kids?
The biggest thing is like as a player, like I always look back on like what I wanted is I always when I got into this, I was like, I want to be the coach, the mentor, the trainer that I wanted growing up. Like someone that everyone wants someone that's gonna believe in them. Like
Yeah.
so many people are gonna tell you you can't do it. I'm gonna tell you you can do it, but this is what it's gonna take. I'm not gonna say you can do it, but you don't have to work at it. Like, no, you can do it. Like we're gonna work
Mm.
at it, and if we come up short, we come up short. But we're gonna give it everything we got. And so for me, it's being honest with them, but letting them know you care. We spend a lot of time together. My young kids like going to games together, watching games, whether it's high school, college, with sometimes NBA. One of the great things about what I've been able to build is that the young kids get a chance to work out with the NBA guys.
Mm.
So it's no different than like you see guys coming up, and it's like okay, you gotta. I tell my young guys, no, I tell my NBA guys, my pros, the guys that make it to the highest level. The only thing you owe me is to come back and mentor the next guy and to send the elevator back down and remember like you were once in that position, like you wanted somebody to come
Mm.
give you a glimmer of hope to show you like it is possible. So when they see you, they're around you, they can work out with you. You can't work out all the time, but you can come in and give them tips. Just let them know like I remember being in your shoes before because you all were all the best players were once in sixth, seventh, eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade. They were all dreaming at one time. Nobody just jumped up and was automatically just right away in the NBA
Right.
or right away at a top college. So, and being honest with the kids is just, pushing them, but it all starts off the court because when they know you care off the court, then they're gonna give you more on the court. They're gonna allow you to push them harder, to critique them more, because everything's about getting better each day, and it's about allowing yourself to be coached, to be pushed, and that's the one of the biggest thing to tell parents. Like if you want to be sugar coated or you want the fluff or you want the bells and the whistles, like this ain't for you. Like
Yeah.
this ain't this, what I'm saying? Like I'm coming, like we're this the mainland, but I'm like my mentality is like lay it apart. Like that's like we're gonna get after it. Like you don't need that. You don't I just seen too many players like that were developed on that field. Like they didn't have all the fancy equipment, all that. Like it's about putting in the work. Like these parents be thinking like, oh, we're gonna get this fancy machine or this $1 million drill. Like no, everything at the end of the day, it's the basics. The basic fundamentals of every sport are what's gonna separate you, not the flash.
Not the flash. And man, it's definitely a lot of time as well. Like I know we talked about it as well, like investment of time, like for people that are wanting to do the things that you're doing. I mean, we talked about it as far as the grind, like kind of explain your journey, what it took for you to get to where you're at.
Man, it's just pounding the pavement. Like I've stopped going to school. I graduated high school in 2006. I didn't finish. I finished my AA in 2013, 2012, I think it was. Then I stopped going to school again, and then I went back to school and finished my bachelor's from University of Hawaii in Wyoming in 2017. So it doesn't just happen overnight. Like everyone's there's been many detours for me, and everyone's path to success is different. But
Yeah.
the key is persistence. Being able to fight through adversity. Adversity is part of and I that's my thing. Like I could have did more when I played when I got hurt and took my rehab more serious, and I learned look back on that, and I'm like, like not gonna make the same mistakes, not gonna just say, okay, like give in. Like I gotta finish school. I gotta be an example for the kids that I'm working with. I can't just be don't do as I say, not as I do. So I had to finish school and it's a grind. It still is. It's sometimes it's 7 days a week. And that's just what it is sometimes. And you gotta do, like we all seen our parents. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. It's not gonna
Yeah.
be convenient. It's not gonna be easy, but you gotta make it happen. And for me, it's just continuing to pound the pavement and keeping that chip on my shoulder and staying hungry and wanting to keep building and expand.
Yeah, and you mentioned it before, right? A lot of people they look more on the fluff side, right? They look more on the on all the things that look good kind of thing. But man, when they look at what it takes to get to where you're at, right? Talking about working 7 days a week, talking about the grind, right? You didn't just show up to Kawhi Leonard's door like when he was a
No,
professional, right? You just I mean, it
no.
takes time, bro. It's an investment of time, years. You mentioned it's like years, man. You know these guys since they were young, since they were youth,
Yeah,
right?
no, it's just time. It's just it's monotonous. It's especially when you're young. You know, these guys are like, man, this is so many years away. I got 5 years. I got 6 years so I even get to college possibly. You know, then you're thinking about the NBA, and then it was like, okay. And so, like, well, and those guys, Kawhi went to school for 2 years, Tony went for three, and then Kuz played 3 years of college as well. So they didn't none of those guys stayed in school for 4 years, but it takes time, man, and it's a lot. Like there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into it. Like you're gonna have to choose. Like, are you wanna be with the friends? Do you want to hang out? Do you want to be with the cool crowd? Or are you gonna say, okay, this is what I gotta do. It's my family, my books, and my sport, like in my training. I don't got time. Like, yeah, you're gonna have time here and there,
Mm.
but it's like you don't have time every week Friday to be like, oh, I want to go hang out with the boys. Like, if that's what you want. And I'm honest with kids. I'm like, you gonna be right here one day training with me, and that's fine. You gonna be telling the kids like, I wish I would have listened to coach. Like he was telling
Yeah.
me like, you just gotta choose for whatever like I don't know, like there's just, like we talked about, like there's very few people in any sport that are talented enough to do both.
Yeah. Talent,
You
right?
know,
Yep. Talent is one thing you brought up, but then hard work, right? You got to have good work ethic, right?
now
And those are the people that
have
you
to.
work with. Yep.
Now you have to.
And so, I mean, we talked about the work ethic. I mean, for you, right? I mean, you went you played basketball at Kahuku, and then you ended up going to a junior college, right? And then you got injured, and then I mean, you ended up creating something where you're working with top notch athletes, like top notch basketball players. And just your example alone of your story and just the things that you shared, right? It's inspiring not only for me but for the people listening. Like, I'm not saying you came from nowhere, but at the same time you came from a place where people wouldn't have thought that, man, somebody like Clint probably wouldn't end up working with people like Kyle Kuzma, with the Kawhi Leonard, with the Tony Snells, right?
No,
And that's exactly where you're at, bro, because of the things that you preach, but not only preach, but you practice, that you harp with, that you teach your students, that you teach your athletes, right? Talent, but hard work ethic, right? Being persistent and making the sacrifices necessary to get to where you want to be.
man, what's funny, Tori, is like my junior college coaches, because I first started training, like I was training like in the summer, like when I first got to college. You know how junior college is. College, like you're always trying to make a little bit of extra money.
Oh
You know what I'm
man,
saying?
yeah.
Like it's hard. JUCO, it's hard. Like who you out there scrounging up? It's like I was training kids and like I was getting into that, and my junior college coaches used to always laugh like, man, who gonna let you train them? Phew, what are these people doing letting you train them? Like it was like I used to just take it. Everybody would laugh, and it was like a joke. Like ha, ha, ha. Everybody, I'd be like, okay, we'll see. It's not funny. Like I'm not laughing. Like I'm not like okay, whatever. And then like to tell you like a couple years ago, one of the assistant coach at the time, he's coaching at a Division II, Western Washington. He sends
Western,
me he sends me a message on Twitter like, can you help me out with some players? And this is I'm like. I'm sending it to my boys. I'm like, bro, like, remember when he used to crack jokes on me, like in front of everybody, ha ha ha. Now he's sending me, asking me, can I help him find a sleeper? And I'm just like, man, it's so funny. I'm like, people are funny, boy.
How
But
does
I'm
that
like,
how does that
okay,
make you how does that make you feel? Like for me, I don't know. You can take you can approach it two ways, right? Like one way it can be like this. I mean, this guy,
yeah,
same thing, right? Or you could just be like,
yeah. In my mind,
you know
in my
you're
mind,
right.
I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm thinking, good story, this guy.
So, this guy's good story right now.
Yeah. I'm like this guy asking for players now. I'm like, oh my gosh. But for me,
Yeah.
it's I always had that chip on my shoulder. It's just like, okay, like I came up short as a player, but now this next phase is like, okay, I'm gonna try to be the best to ever do at this, like best to ever develop players. Like this is the new journey. This is where I'm at. And so take this as far as I can.
And I know you'll go far, bro. And I know you'll go far. Why? Because I mean, just like what this show is about, it's about athletes using their passion for sports to pursue their passions in life after sports, and that's exactly what you're doing, bro. That's exactly what everybody who's listening right now, the athletes that are listening on the show, that's what they're trying to aspire to do, right? You mentioned it, and
No,
you're not the only one that's mentioned it. Like there's people that are there's always gonna it's I hate to say the word hate, but haters, right? Like it's I mean,
yeah,
there's always gonna be people out there who just I mean, either don't believe in you or they look at you from outside perspective and think, man, this guy, I
no, for
mean, he
sure.
don't got it. But for you yourself, like Sully, you bet on yourself. You
You
bet on
have to.
yourself, yeah, and you have to have it, man.
You have to believe in yourself, and for us, like that's why, like for you, like to see what you're doing and bringing people that we all went to school with. Like I'm seeing MJ, I'm seeing H, like I'm seeing all these people went to school with, and I'm seeing you, and I'm like, man, it's bringing me back so many
Yeah,
memories.
you keep talking about your
Like
brother Al, and
yeah, yeah, great memories. Like people, players, like players that I love. Like just seeing you guys compete, like it's bringing back memories. Like to see in the background, seeing that return. Like I remember just being at that game, like So it's like, and we all have so much knowledge, like, and there's so much talent. Like it's not just football, it's basketball, it's whatever sport. But it's really on us now. It's our turn to pour that back into the kids, and like I told you, it's like for me, like what really motivates me and like what showed me is um like my Uncle Juice, like just
mm,
how he was, like just seeing like how he was with everybody, like and
rest in
how
peace, OG
he
Juice.
yes, rest in peace, like just a great man that just it doesn't matter if it's your kid, your family, your nephew, whatever, like just giving back to the youth and pushing them, and because it's like there's so many other distractions, so just being able to say like this is gonna keep you focused and like focus on this in school and take this as far as you can so you can set yourself up for a better future.
Yeah, and man, you talk a lot about giving back to the youth, and I mean, as far as the reason why I started this broadcast, and is because I wanted to give back to people that are our age.
Yeah,
I know you mentioned your experiences like after you got injured, right? And just the
yeah,
challenges that you had to overcome, but then you found a life after sports. You found a
yeah, bro.
passion afterwards, right?
Yeah, it's hard. You know what I'm saying? Like we're all going through stuff. Like it doesn't get easy. Like we all need motivation. It's not like, oh, just because we're past high school, like it's like, oh, it's done. Like no, there's people like it's a struggle out here. Like so everyone's looking for like, just uplifting each other. Like it's a crazy time that we're living in, and like the biggest thing is just more positivity, more love, less hate, like just helping each other out. And it being able to, if you see an opportunity for somebody that you in a field that may not be pertain to you, but somebody that like, okay, like I heard about this job opportunity in this field, this is what you do, like I think it would be a great, here goes the contact, like more of
Mm.
that, not more of like, oh, it doesn't help me, so I'm not really focused on it. Like no, like it may not directly help you, but you could push it along to somebody else that it could help change their life.
Yeah, and that's one thing that people don't understand is, I mean, it's hard to when you offer a service or when you give service. I mean, a lot of times you won't know the value you've added to someone's life, right? Not everybody who you've added value to is going to come back to you and be like, "Hey, Clint, remember that time you helped me or that thing you said reminded you?" But
Yeah,
you never know. But right, why not give it a shot anyway? Why not add value where you can and let your service speak volumes to help other
exactly.
people.
Exactly. And that's what this show is doing, because it's like there's just a lot of people that are like, man, like I still got, like, even though we're removed from high school, 2006 was almost 15 years.
It's been a
Jeez.
while, bro, and
It's been a while, but it's still like we're still young. We still got a lot. There's never too late to chase your dreams, chase your goals. Like, just start over, or continue to build off what you're already doing. Like, and that's what this show. Like, there's a lot of you just I'm learning new things about people watching and listening, and it's exciting because it's like, man, like people are still out here pushing forward. Like we're getting older, but we're leading by example, and that's our job.
bro, you look the same from high school, man. You just got a beard now. You look good, brother. You look good, and
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
and
You too.
and I'm happy to hear that you're doing great things, brother.
No, I appreciate it. I look for, I mean, we're gonna have to, I told you when I come up to St. George, we're Well, next time I'm in the area, I'm gonna have to come by and stop by and see all you guys, and I look forward to us being able to, eventually when everything clears up, us being able to do something at the back home and being able to a mixture of basketball and football, like because that's my next thing. Like is we know we're a football powerhouse, but that's my thing. Is like we got a lot of basketball players. Like like we got a lot of talent, but it's like
Yeah.
it's pushing them the same way. That's my always been my thing. Like we just need to push them the same way that we push our football players. And
Yep.
because like when you look at it this year, like the best player on the University of Hawaii team for this coming season, he's one of our own, Samuta Avea. Like he's
Yep.
born and raised. You know what I'm saying? Like grew up playing Lake Park, like Kahuku. Like so to have him leading. Yeah, we've had players lead UH the football team from Kahuku, but we never had somebody lead the basketball team. And so he has a great opportunity this year, and to in his senior season to finish strong, and he's gonna have a chance to play. I've always said like he has to continue to get better, and it might not come right away like he wanted
Yep.
to, but he has the tools, the physical attributes to play at the NBA level. No, he has
Yep.
to put it all. He has to put it all together. And it's not going to be easy the road ahead, but he has a chance. To me, he does, and he just has to continue to work at it. So, I mean, for him, that's just for kids to see that example of someone that's walked the same path as them, because everyone's not made for football. It's like everyone's
Yeah.
not made for basketball,
Yeah.
but there is. So it's just bridging that gap and bringing it together and showing like like because we got the best athletes. I tell people all the time like there's a reason why every private school sets up shop in the community, and we want this kid, we want that kid. I'm like, because
Yep.
they know this is where that's where the players are.
Yep. That's right, bro. And man, it's I don't know. You mentioned Samu Tevea, and I know that he's one of the people that you've been working with too, right? Like he's one of the
Yeah.
kids that you help train. And I mean, we're not just talking about NBA players. We're talking about future NBA players. And for you from where you're at, like I can only imagine what kind of feeling you get when you're able to see the growth in these people, or in these young kids who end up becoming men and end up playing at the highest level, right? As far
Oh
as I
man,
mean, yeah, how does that make you feel? And
it's unreal. Like when I go to like I was back home a lot last year for games.
yeah,
Like when I would just be at Stan Sheriff and I would hear his name called in the starting lineups, I would be sitting there like I would just be like the happiest fan in the stadium. It's in the stand share, even just because it's like, man, like I tell people, I'm like, man, that was the goal, that was the dream, like being at Leia Park, being at Hola Park, like shooting in front of my grandma's house in Hola, like I wanted to play at UH, yeah, like that was
yeah,
like so for him to be able to be able to work with him and see him come up and play and be on the team and be like a main part of the team, not just like, oh, he's just on the team, he's a local boy, so we got him on the team. No, like he's a dude on the team,
oh,
So
he earned
when I
it.
when I
Yeah.
yeah when I see that and these my other kids, even when I watch the kids and then my guys in the NBA, I'm just like, it's exciting. I'm happy. I'm just like, and I always think I'm like, yeah, I'm like it's just real. So that's why it's like seeing that happen for them is huge for the next one, and just want to keep building because like nothing is like because they're always it's every all of this is like what have you done for me lately, like so if I don't have any more players come up and continue to get there and go to college and make it to the highest level, then people are going to say, "Oh, this is a flash in the pan." So for me, it's just continuing to push and let's keep building. Let's stay hungry. Let's don't be satisfied.
Man, the way that you see these kids from when they grew up to now, like as you train them, it's the same way that we see you, man. You're doing great things, right? I've seen you from the start in high school, but man, to see where you're at now, right? I follow you, we follow you here. Those who are listening in right now, like your journey is definitely a special journey, and you earned it, bro. Like you mentioned, right? It wasn't. I mean, not only was it talent, but man, it took hard work, it took persistence, it took sacrifice,
For
and
sure.
all those things that you did, bro, you earned every single bit. And so I'm grateful for the people who are listening because they need to hear that. It's not one of those get rich quick schemes that we talked about the other time, right? No, you got to put in
Man,
the
it's
work, you got to
not.
put in the time. It's not just hours, minutes, it's, I mean, months, it's years, like to develop that kind of stuff, right?
No, it is, and that's one of the things I was telling you. Like my little cousin Io Copo Malafao is going to be a freshman at Kahuku, and I tell him that all the time. Like he's talented and he can be special, but it's like you gotta work at it. Like it's nobody's going to just hand it to you. No one's going to hand the Pac-12 offer to you or whatever university. Like you're going to have to really whatever it is. Like you got to work at it, and you got to because there's a lot of dudes that are talented that don't ever make that ever fulfill their talent because fulfill their potential because they don't put the work in. So, as long as you stay focused and you're committed to it, and that's pretty much our. I mean, that's where we come in. All the people that you're bringing on the show is we've been able to experience some things. So,
Yeah.
it's just taking that next step and helping the next generation. So that's what we're gonna continue to do, bro.
Yeah, and we're excited, man. We're excited to help the next generation, and we're happy to see you helping the next generation in the way that you see is best for you and the way that you're most passionate about. And that's what the show is about, is being able to give back, being able to serve, but doing it in a way that you're most passionate about. And Clint, when I grow up, I want to be just like you, brother. That's what the secret is. So no, you're definitely a great example of what we, as not only in the community but just athletes all around, who are trying to look for that life after sports, right? Who are trying to find
So
passions
it's
afterwards, right?
scary. Whew. You got to prepare. You got to prepare for that. But when that ball stops, when that ball stops bouncing, like when that whistle stops blowing for you, it's man, it can be a hard adjustment. So it's always preparing and having a plan and just not being not being afraid to take that leap. Like it's gonna be a lot of uncomfortable moments for sure. But um, it's just part of the game.
It's part of the game. It's part of life, right? I know.
Yeah,
Aisha Falesi, she joined us in our last episode, and she talked about the same thing. In order to be successful, you gotta be uncomfortable. You gotta get out of that comfort zone. And man, you're
no,
just
for
another
sure.
you're just another testament to that. And bro, we look forward to continuing to follow you in your journey and everything that you're doing right now. You're doing great things, brother, and I appreciate you being on the show and sharing the value and the value bombs to those who are listening. So, Clint, thank you so much for your time, brother. I appreciate it.
Much love, Mo. So appreciate you
Would-
too.
And as far as closing, this is there there's one last thing that you want to share with everybody, just those who are listening. Well, what's one last piece of advice you would give everybody?
Man, just dream big, work hard, and do what you love. That's basically that's that's the most important thing for the young players. For the young players, the basketball players especially. Man, go to the park when this is all finished. Go to the park, play at the park. That helped me so much. Um, Learn so much playing with all the OGs, Ice, all those dudes, Cat, just all those dudes getting hacked, looking up, just learning how to play, like especially just learning how to really play. Like you learn so much just playing at the park. So that's my biggest thing, especially for basketball. Like gotta get back when everything hopefully at some point comes back to somewhat the new normal. Just the kids going to the park playing open run, playing pickup, just learning how to play with older players, learning it's just it'll help the game. That's my biggest thing at this point is just everything I do every day is I'm thinking about like how do I further the game, push the game forward for the culture, for the community, for the state of Hawaii. Like that's where I'm at. Like I'm like for me it's like man, I want to see NBA players from Hawaii. That's
Yep.
what I want to see. Like that's my goal. Like Division 1, okay, we got a couple doing that. Now it's like we got
Yeah.
to get some players in that top league, like from Hawaii. Like that's what we need to be able to turn on. Like okay, like just like we do on Sundays and watch players from Hawaii and NFL. Like I want to see that same thing for basketball. So
And we're on our
um,
way, bro. We're gonna get there.
yeah,
And we
it's gonna
just need
come. It's
more
gonna come
and we just need more people who are passionate about it, who have that
Yeah,
vision, right?
for
Just like
sure,
just
for
like
sure.
yourself. You have that vision, you see it, and now you're able to use your work ethic to be able to help those people get that to that level. So we know it's gonna happen because there's people like you out there in the community, bro. There's people like you doing
Yeah,
that, setting the example, and we love and appreciate your example, bro. Thank you so much once again, Clint. I appreciate it.
thanks for having me on, bro.
All right, brother. Love you. Have a good night, man.
You too.
Man, so much value bombs that the man has shared. Clint Parks, right? Dream big, work hard, right? Go to the park, right? There's no real secret sauce to it, right? If you want to be good at something, right? If you want to get better, right? just you have to apply it. You have to go out there and either hit the court, hit the field, do what you need to do in order to be successful. But just remember, right? Stick to the basics. Remember where you came from, and this will lead you to success in life. So we're grateful for Clint for his time. We're thankful for so many of you who are tuning in tonight to the Return to the Top live stream podcast, episode 4. Excuse me. Thank you, Clint, so much. I love you, brother. Thank you again. Everybody who made it possible, as far as the background people who are helping me with this, and everybody once again who's tuning in. Thank you so much. You guys have a good night.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm headed straight to the top, and ain't no way I'm gon' stop till I'm 6 feet under and they put me in a box to the top. You gon' give me all my props and I ain't gon' stop till that number 1 spot to the top.